तो दोस्तों, ये मूला का अचार है जो हमारा ट्रेडिशनल नेपाली फूड है जो विंटर्स में बहुत पॉपुलर है। सो मैंने आई थिंक आई टुक अबाउट 8 मूलीज, वॉच देम, स्क्रैप देम, फिर उसको मैंने एक स्मॉल साइजेस में, आई थिंक स्मॉलर देन, now that the mula is dried, I'm dry roasting a couple of spices, which is like white mustard seeds or yellow mustard seeds, a pinch of fennel seeds, 4 red chilies whole, 1 garlic pod, onion seeds, a pinch of onion seeds, small mustard greens and larger mustard seeds, and then this tiny variety of mustard seeds again. So this is going to be roasted gently and not too much because we don't want to overcook it or anything like that. And this will give the, that hit when you eat the Mula Ko Achar. It's like eating wasabi in a way. That similar kind of hit or that kick which people really love. And then I will grind them again in a mortar and pestle. I will show that to you. But not the complete grinding process because handling the camera and the grinding gets a bit too much. So this has been roasted now and I'll transfer it over to the mortar and pestle. So I have my little setup here and this is where I'm going to, the roasted spices, I'm going to just transfer it here and then I'll grind it, which I'll show in a bit. My pestle is also ready. And one more ingredient, which is my special Pahari noon, which I showed you yesterday, a good heap of that as well, so that it grinds easily. This has got a lot of spice mix and different varieties of chilies, because any kind of pickle needs salt and spices to make it last longer. So that is the whole idea. So let me start grinding now. Here we go. My rug is going to get all dirty, doesn't matter, as long as you guys get to see. I think it will be all worth its while. Hai So I need to know whether you guys need my vlogs in Hindi, in English, Nepali or Mizo or French or any other language that you prefer. As long as it's the language that I can speak fluently with, it's all good. Or you can just turn on the, the translation option on YouTube. I'm not too sure about Instagram because Instagram anyway does not have long format videos. I think it used to have. I don't know whether people watch it anymore. I have no idea. This requires a lot of skill, patience, so that it doesn't spill outside. And it's smelling divine right now. So after I grind all this, I'm also going to dry this in the sun for a little bit so that no moisture is left. The whole key of making any pickle is that it should be moistureless. Even a drop of moisture can ruin the whole batch. So I'm sure all of you know that. There are hundreds of millions of YouTube videos saying the same thing. I'm not saying it any different. I'm just sharing the way I make it, the way I enjoy it. So I ran out of black mustard seeds. Actually, I should have shopped it yesterday. Anyhow, so let me finish grinding this and then I will get back to you. I have ground this coarsely. You don't need to grind it finely because it doesn't need fine grinding. You need little bits and pieces of the spices. When you bite a piece of the mula or the radish, and that's what makes it special. A little crunch goes a long way. So there you have it, and let it dry for a bit, the spices, so that no moisture is left. The radish is perfectly done. If you can see this, it's perfectly done. It has dried out a little bit more than I wanted, but it's okay. See how pliable it has become. And yesterday it was snapping. The sun is really good and there are people playing cricket below. Being a Sunday, there are boys playing cricket below, and I don't know whether you can see that. There's a ground below my house, both on the east side and on the west side, that side. It's really a beautiful day in Delhi today. Now the final step into making the pickle. I'm going to add half a teaspoon of turmeric, about this much, into the spice mix which has dried nicely in the sun. A generous amount of chili flakes or ground chili flakes, about this much, which is quite a lot, and a little bit more because I like things spicy. And so do my friends who like to eat the food that I make. And a generous heap of salt as well, because you need salt to preserve, the pickle. And the final ingredient, guess what it is? It is mustard oil. Not too much. You need oil to mix the spice well. Let me show you, tilt it with that form. So just enough to soak the spices. You don't need to add a whole lot of oil, because sunlight will do the curing. So when we make preserves in the Himalayan mountains, we don't usually dunk our foods in oil or ghee. You see the consistency? A little bit more of the oil and then we are done. And then I'll show you how I mix the the radish, and how I bottle it and then preserve it in the sun. So for 2 days you just need to wrap it with a nice muslin cloth, let it dry in the sun so that all the moisture gets soaked out, but make sure that you bring it indoors in the evening, because you don't want any dew or night moisture to get into your pickle. See, that is the mixture we want. In the absolute traditional way, you add only mustard seeds, salt, and turmeric and chilies. That's it. But I'm experimenting a little bit, and I've added some more spices to it so that it becomes even more flavorful, but not in large quantities, mind you, because that's going to spoil the whole flavor, the original authentic flavor of this Mula Ko Achar. A lot of people like to heat the oil and stuff like that. I don't. I like the smell of raw oil, and because it's going out in the sun anyway, so it is going to, really cook in its own this thing, juices. And the salt is anyway going to release a little bit of moisture from the radish and even from the dry ingredients. However much I may have roasted it in the pan, it's still going to leak some oil, some natural oils, which is very good for the pickle. See, the color is really nice. It's not overtly colored. It's not very yellow. But as it matures, as it cures, the color will change a little bit, and that's going to taste awesome. So I'm going to do a lot of preserving in the winter months. So lacto fermenting a lot of carrots, cauliflower, beans, cucumber, because these are available in plenty in the wholesale market. And this is the best time to, preserve foods that you can't find during the summer months. And it really, helps me during the summer months when you don't feel like eating food. Even ginger, I'm going to make a preserve, and dunk it in lemon juice. That's another great way of preserving ginger, and it's so good not only in flavor, but it's so good for your body, for your system. So this is one tiny little batch. I've got half more of that you know to pickle, and then I will put it in the jar, which I'll show you in a bit. So I have my sterilized glass jar, and I'm going to stuff the pickle in it. A little tip which a friend's mom gave me was to add a little bit, a pinch, just a little pinch, this much of asafoetida at the bottom of the jar. I don't know what it does technically, but what she said was it really gives a nice flavor, and I think I'll need a bigger spoon. No, I'll manage with this. So this is how you mix the whole thing. And later I'll give it a good shake and maybe add another drop of oil, and that's about it. I don't need to dunk it really in oil because that'll, really make it really messy. And I don't like to eat messy food. Food has to be clean and clear, and it should look good when you eat it. This has always been my funda. Maybe I'm obsessed with orderliness or whatever you may call it, but food has to look good even when you serve it. So this is how, and let me finish this process and I'll get back to you. I still have this much left which I'll transfer to another bottle, and here we have our Mula Ko Achar, and I've wrapped a muslin cloth on top of it, and this will go to the sun. I've left little bits of white also below, and that will get coated naturally, and I'll show you how it looks in a couple of days. Stay tuned for more on Mula Ko Achar. It's a glorious day even today. The sun is amazing and I'm grateful for that. So here are my 2 bottles, and there were about 4 more tablespoons which were left, which I'll just have it rise. And this one is still leaking a lot of juices. It has started to change color a little bit, the gunruk. It should be ready within 15 days, I think, if the sun continues like this. And this will stay in the sun for a whole day like this before I put on the lid. I've purposely filled some portions with white radish, and all the juices from the top will flow, and then I think by tomorrow I'll give it one good shake, because then it will reduce a little bit also, it will compress. So once that happens, and once it compresses to around this much, then I will transfer the smaller bottle to this, so that I have a good batch of Mula Ko Achar. And if somebody wants to buy authentic, homemade Mula Ko Achar, you can always DM me on my Instagram, or leave your number or some contact on my YouTube comment box. Thank you and see you very soon.